I honestly don't feel like there's anything more important than this, than the simplicity of coming back to the present moment, of feeling your breath, of tuning into your senses, of being so deeply in your body, in your life, that you remember what it really means to be alive. Here, now. Let this moment be so sacred, a remembering of who you were before the world told you who you should be. I see you. I feel you. Welcome to the Freya podcast. Welcome home. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's Freya podcast. So, today we're going to be speaking about an interesting subject that came up for me this week that I was like, yeah, I really need to talk about this on the podcast. And when I was studying breathwork, and I'm still studying breathwork, I'm still in a coaching group where every week or so we talk about our experiences, and we are constantly learning and growing in this. And I think that that's a super important part of anything that we're doing in life or anything that we're guiding, is to always stay a student, always stay a learner, because it's ever evolving, ever growing, just like we are as human beings. And so we have this WhatsApp group where we talk about our cases, and we just ask questions on how we would think we could guide people in the best way for their healing and transformation. And we were talking about the nervous system, and there was an interesting concept that came up about fawning. And I'm going to go deeper into the fawning aspect, but I want to explain a little bit in general what the nervous system is and the different types of reactions that we have in a nervous system. And I'm not going to go so deep into this because this is going to be content that I'm going to be sharing in my private individual classes. But right now I want to give just an overview so that you guys can understand. So the nervous system has 4 main trauma or stress responses, and this is what happens when we feel threatened, when we feel stress, when we feel like we're physically or emotionally in threat. The first one is fight. So this is quite like, we know what fighting means. It means like anger, like just fight, like defensive. That's a reaction that we will have. The other one is flight, which means running away, escaping, avoiding, just taking yourself away from the situation. Freeze, which is one that we see often in the animal kingdom. I remember when I started studying breathwork, I saw this video of a lion chasing an antelope. And when the lion pounced on the antelope, the response that the antelope had was to freeze and just act dead. And this made the lion just like jump off. And then we saw the antelope start shaking and like coming back to life after that. And that was a really interesting video. But this is the freeze concept. So when we see something that triggers us, or like a big emotion or a trauma, our first response is to shut down, to dissociate, and to numb, like just freeze. And then there's the fawn. And this one was, oh my gosh, I really didn't ever understand this one because it's not so out there. It's kind of internal that we go through this. And fawning is the energy of people pleasing, of appeasement, of saying yes when you mean no, of overgiving, of avoiding conflict, of losing yourself to maintain peace. And it's not so like you can't really see it. It's not that you can't see it. You can see it when you start noticing this in yourself and in others, but it's not as out there as fighting, or just like running away or freezing. It's sort of subtle in its energy. And sometimes we can actually mistake it for like the good thing to do. So fawning, the people pleasing, that when you're with someone and they're doing something or they're saying something and you're just doesn't really resonate, or you don't really feel like that would be the good thing to do right now, but you're just you can't say it or you can't do it. And you're just like, oh, yeah, yeah, that's good. Yeah. And just, smiling and shaking your head. And like, have you ever recognized yourself in one of those situations where you're just, the thought of disappointing or the thought of making the other person feel uncomfortable is unbearable compared to you not respecting yourself? And that was a very interesting thing that I realized when I started doing some inner work, was that I was someone who would really feel the energy of others. And one of the big emotions that I would feel in others, and I guess that I would feel in myself, is shame. So when someone would feel ashamed or like really uncomfortable in situations, I would try my best to make the situation okay for them to not feel that anymore. And that was actually, I would do that in a way that would totally disrespect what I truly wanted in that moment. And there was a time in my life where I had like a year of really coming back to myself and really going deep within and understanding what I wanted in a relationship in the future and how I needed to become in order to attract a relationship that I truly desired. And there was a lot of that fawning and people pleasing that I was observing myself doing in dates or in my life, in my business, in just so many places. And I'll always remember I started doing my vision board, and one of the biggest things that was on the vision board was authenticity. I wanted to be authentic. I wanted to be my true self. I wanted to be seen for myself. And that would probably mean, or that would actually mean, that if I'm myself, I'm not going to please everyone. Not everybody likes us for what we are. There are some people who prefer this, there are some people who prefer that, and that's okay. And it took me a while to accept that I wasn't going to be everybody's cup of tea. Like I wasn't going to be the flavor of everybody's month. And that, as like obvious as it can get when we speak about it, is actually quite hard to take in, to know that you're not going to be liked by everyone. Like my inner child had a lot of trouble with that. And then there's a lot of things in my life that I valued that I wouldn't dare say, especially in the whole COVID craze. There was a lot of things that I would stand for and that I was very grounded in my decisions. And I knew that these decisions that I were taking were the best for me, for my children, for my family. And it really went against what a lot of my environment was thinking. And I know that in that moment, I really understood who I was, because I stood for truth, but not in a way where I would fight, or like I wasn't fighting. I wasn't trying to get my point across. I was just very confident that the choices I was making were the best for me. And I actually would kind of flight in those situations, because a lot of people, there was that part in COVID where it was like the anti-vaccines and the vaccines and all that, and I was just kind of avoiding that subject. Sometimes I would just not want to get into that because I felt like there was such polarity and it really didn't matter. And it was just like, can I just do what I think is best for me, and you guys can do whatever the fuck you want, and can we just go on with our lives? Like, why is this such a big thing? For me, it didn't make sense. It's like, if I like blue and you like red, like, why are we even having this discussion? Just like blue and I'll like red, like it was as simple as that. And then that is a big moment in my life where I realized, okay, I'm not like most people. I'm not, I don't think the same things as most people think. And that's interesting. And if I show myself as this person, if I start speaking as this person, if I start valuing the things that I truly value and speaking up about that, is that going to make me less pleasurable to the people who like red while I like blue? Probably. And is that a bad thing? In my head, yeah, because they won't like me. And if they don't like me, then that's almost a threat to my survival. Like, in a sense, it just felt so uncomfortable. Like a little child who's at school and gets laughed at, that shame that you feel in the beginning of your life. You remember the times where you were bullied and people didn't like you. And there's like emotions that come when I say this. It's like, these are deep wounds, these are deep traumas that we have inside of ourselves. And where we think that we're only worthy if we are worthy to everyone else. And then in that thinking, in that mindset, we lose ourselves, because if we're only worthy if that person likes us, then we're only worthy if we think like that person. And it's funny because everyone has different thinking processes or different values and different ways to see the world. So if I'm only valued when I think the same thing as you, then that means that I'm never me. And I'm always just like a chameleon, like a chameleon. I don't know, like that lizard that changes colors when they're in different environments. And I used to think that that was one of my great traits. I was like, yeah, I get along with anyone. I'm able to fit into any group. And it's true. Like, I really have I have good social skills. I can get along with anyone. But now, today, I can get along with anyone because I am open to seeing your perspective, but I still honor my truth and like, when I hear someone speak about their perspective and their thoughts and what they like and what they don't like, I'm very curious and I'm open, and I'm never going to be in that judgmental role while I'm having discussions. And if I am, I have the introspection to be able to be like, okay, this is triggering me because there's something that needs to be healed within me, because otherwise I wouldn't be judging it. Back in the days, whatever someone said, I thought I needed to be that. I thought I needed to think that. I see a vision. And one of my coaches told me that when I was in the beginning of my, let's call it, healing spiritual journey. She said, I see you like as a little leaf in the wind. And it's just, you're not grounded. You're just kind of like flying around and you don't really know who you are. And I was like, I fucking don't know who I am. I have no idea who I am. And it was in that realization that I was like, okay, I really need to get to know myself. I have to get to know who I am, what I love, what I value, what's important for me. And that was a big process for me. And the biggest amount of transformation happened in breath work, because breath work goes into your body. It goes into your physical vessel, and you really start getting true with what it is you feel and your emotions. And it's like, you can't fake this stuff. Breath takes you exactly where you need to go, and it makes you see exactly what it is that you need to see. And then you unravel all those parts of yourself that you put on in order to please, in order to fawn, and you get true. You get like, okay, this is where I'm at, and that's interesting. So yeah, there was a lot of realizations this week around that, and how much I've evolved in this process of fawning, and how there are certain situations where that still comes up. And I'm going to give a very practical example of that what happened to me today. And it was quite funny. But I'm going to be as real and authentic about this as possible. So I was taking a walk, and I take a walk every morning now because I really want to start working with the sun to help my hormones as a woman, because I strongly believe that I am very influenced by my relationship with the sun. If I don't get enough sun, I can feel that in my energy and my hormones and all that. So every morning I go for a walk, to get some morning sunlight. And that's my little ritual. And this morning they were closing the roads because there's a mountain really close to my home, and I always walk up the mountain to get a little workout in at the same time. And then there was like a bunch of construction guys putting up signs to not go past this point because in the winter we can't go up to the mountain with our cars. So they were starting to build that. And I was just walking past the whole like construction site, and there was a lot of construction guys there. And I walked past and I could feel already in my energy discomfort and like resistance just because I was walking by a bunch of guys, like construction guys. And in my past, there are situations where I would walk on the side of the road and I would just get really typical reactions of guys. When you're a woman and you walk past a gang of guys and they just like, or they say a comment or something. I think that that's an interesting point to bring as women because I don't think men really have to go through that. But for me, there's always a sense of, okay, am I safe here? So that's what I was experiencing. I was noticing myself in that. And then I was like walking past them. And then I walked past a guy and he looked at me and he had a genuine, beautiful smile and just smiled like, have a good day. And I smiled back. But in my smile, I felt resistance. Like I couldn't receive it fully because there's still a part of me that is like, is this safe? As a woman, there are many situations in which I found myself where I smiled at someone or I gave them light and love, but not love in like a sexual or like attractive way. Love in like, have a beautiful day. Like I see you, I value you, and I'm just here to share the light and share the love. And there are so many situations in which I genuinely just wanted that, and where I was received with, if you're giving me this, then I want more of that. And the example that's coming to me is like at a bar, for example, where you would just smile at a guy and just because like, hi, how are you? Like smiling. And then they would come and talk to you and like try to like flirt with you. And then you were just like, no, that's not what I want. And then the fawning would come and you would have to kind of people please. Well, for me, I would have to people please instead of be in my boundaries and be like, I'm not interested. So when I was walking up the mountain today and I saw this man just smile at me and I smiled back and I felt resistance and discomfort in that because I thought, is it because I'm smiling that I owe you something? And it kind of feels like funny to even say this out loud. It's like, ugh, I don't really like it, but I know that women have felt that. And I want to like be as authentic as true as possible on this podcast. So here we go. But I was just like, I couldn't fully receive whatever it is that he was giving me because I was closed to the receiving of that because of all the times where I've been open and I was disappointed because I wasn't able to honor my boundaries, basically. So this is such a like random thing. Like there was probably nothing about his smile that meant anything, it was just past traumas that were coming up in that simple moment of a smile and of being around construction guys on a Friday morning. And gosh, I walked down that mountain and I was just like, who would I be if I wasn't scared of leading someone on with my smile? If I could just be who I am and just like, because I'm a very bubbly and light person. So whenever I speak to someone, I'm happy, whether it's a woman or a man or a boy or a little girl, it's like, hi, how are you? Like, sending love and light. Like I love to do that in my everyday life as often as possible because I feel like we walk around like robots some of the times. And I'm also responsible for that at certain moments of my life. But like, it's such a warm feeling to just share a smile with someone you don't know at the grocery store, on the side of the road, and just be like, here we are spreading light and love in our everyday life. And that was it. We had a smile, and it was supposed to be it, but it wasn't that awakened within me. It was this feeling of resistance of, can I fully take this smile, and can I fully be in my smile without expecting anything else, or without being responsible for your wanting more. All this to say that there are so many beautiful moments in our life where we can feel very old triggers and that they appear. And it is our job in that moment to feel what that makes us feel. And this has nothing to do with the guy. This has nothing to do with the situation. It just brought up something old within me that in that moment I was present enough to feel what it is, that the emotion that came with that. And in that moment, I was able to transform a very old emotion just by being present and aware of what was happening inside my body in that exact moment. I'm going to end it on this. As women, as being to be the good girl, or to smile and to look pretty and to look good, and to, there's a lot of us that have this wound. And I'll always remember the moment that I met my boyfriend. I told him that the most important part was for him to love me for who I am. And that was who I am here. And it's bringing up some beautiful emotions right now as I say this, but there is something about being loved for who you are in your most authentic self. And that means with everything that you love and everything that you don't love and everything that's changing and all the emotions and all the multifaceted being of you as a woman, to be loved for that, for your truth. Oh my gosh, there's such a deepness and intimacy in that I had not allowed myself to tap into before in relationships. And it's a beautiful thing when you start feeling safe enough to be seen in all your magic and all your shadows and all the parts of you that you don't want to be seen, but that are you and that are beautiful because they're you. And if I can give one practical tool, because I always love ending my podcasts with a practical tool for you to help embody the energy of growing out of the fawning, of growing out of the people pleasing, it's to let your life be the answer. So just like me, in the little moment of taking a walk and having a smile from a construction guy, let yourself be so totally present in your life that when you feel resistance, when you feel discomfort in your body, in certain situations, take a moment to pause and be curious about where this is coming from, and let the answers come from within. Don't go too much up here. Just be curious, stay open, feel, breathe into that discomfort. And sometimes you're just going to see like this image, or you're going to hear something on the radio later, or you're going to dream about something, and it's just going to come up, and you're going to be like, oh, wow, that's been there for a while. Thank you for showing yourself today. Thank you for allowing me to see this today. So yeah, the practical tool is to be so present in your discomfort, in your triggers, in your trauma, in the stress responses, to not fight, to not run away from them, to not freeze and numb, reach out for that wine or that drug or that food or whatever it is that you reach out, your phone, and to not say, oh, it's okay. Even if deep down it's like, no, it's not okay. is to take a moment and breathe and let yourself feel. And if that means taking a moment for yourself alone in a bathroom, like I know what that is, I've done that so many times. If that means going for a walk, if that means going in your bed and just taking a moment, like let yourself experience that moment and let it teach you what it is that needs to come to the surface. Because in that moment of your life, there is so much power for you to be able to transmute that into light. Because once you become aware of the pattern stops having effect on you because it becomes conscious. And then you have a choice. It's like, is this still relevant? Is the smile that I'm giving a man still dangerous? No. You know why? Because now I'm strong enough to hold my boundaries. I'm strong enough to say no. I'm strong enough to be like, to know what I want and to not please the person in front of me. So it's not threatening anymore. But if I hadn't taken a moment to feel the discomfort and realize what this was about, it would maybe just be an unconscious way of me never allowing love in from strangers. And what a loss of life, to live a life where every man that smiles me, I am that because I'm scared. No. Like, it's not relevant anymore in this life, in this new version of myself. It was relevant once ago. Like, it was relevant when I didn't have the capacity to hold the boundaries to respect myself in certain relationships. But now it's not relevant anymore. I don't need that anymore. I can let that go. And it's beautiful to realize that. It really is. So I hope this inspired you, girls or women. I hope it inspired you to see how fawning is a part of your life and how maybe it served a purpose, because obviously everything that we do in our life served a purpose before. The fact that I would fawn, people please, was a way for me to not feel the anger or the disappointment of the person. Like, it protected me from something and it served me in a point of my life. But now it's no longer aligned with this version of myself. And it's beautiful to catch ourselves in simple moments of everyday life and to be like, okay, this isn't relevant anymore. I can shift out of this. And there we go. There's our power. And that's the beauty of having the capacity to feel and to breathe into the emotions so that we can evolve and grow from that. All right. I wish you guys a beautiful day. If you want to share this with someone who you think might need to hear this, go ahead, and I will see you next week. All right. Bye.